Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about Scarlet and Violet Obisidan Flames. I think this set is actually a pretty awesome set and I want to talk about why. We're going to go over the singles, we're going to look at the set overall, we're going to compare it to past Charizard sets, we're going to look at the booster box, we're going to talk about investing, we're going to run the whole gamut. I'm even going to show you some graded cards from Obisidan Flames I have in my own collection. I think this will be a fun video, so let's jump right in. Alright guys, so let's jump into the topic of why I think the Obisidan Flames set is better than you think. So Obisidan Flames came out last year in August, and it kind of mixed feelings. There was a decent amount of excitement when the set first came out, but a lot of people kind of look at it as one of the weaker sets of Scarlet and Violet. And I want to kind of go through and compare Obisidan Flames to some of the other Charizard sets of previous eras. So this is Pokelector. If you've never used this site before, it's awesome. It shows all of the set list. And you can see down here with Obisidan Flames, we've got all of these beautiful illustration rares. Then we get into some full art cards. And then, of course, we get into our special illustration rares, starting with the Ice Cube. We got the Charizard EX, the Reverum EX, the Pidgeot EX, Gita, Poppy. And then, of course, you have your 3 hyper rares. Now, if you compare this to Darkness Ablaze, which was the Sword and Shield equivalent Charizard set, you've got some full arts kind of mixed in. This Charizard VMAX is the chase card of the set, and you know it's basically just a full art card. It's a CGI card actually. You've got some other full arts in here, but you know that's kind of about it. You get to these full arts with the plain backgrounds kind of on them, or kind of like the generic backgrounds, and then you get some rainbow rares and the gold cards here, and not really any notable gold cards in this set. If we look at Burning Shadows, this was the Sun and Moon Charizard set. It's a little bit better maybe in some cases. You got these full art GX cards, which are not too bad. You scroll down here, you get Machamp GX. You get some of these other full arts. Now these, I don't really love these at all. They're CGI full arts with very, very boring plain backgrounds and kind of weird coloring too. And then you get some rainbows. The rainbows were kind of a popular thing back then. And then you've got the gold hyper rare cards as well. And the top chase card was one of the rainbow rares. It's that rainbow rare Charizard GX. If we go all the way back beyond Sun and Moon to XY, we get to XY Flash Fire, which was the Charizard set for that era. And, we've got some of these Charizard EX cards, the Mega Charizard here. Again, those are all CGI art, but a lot of people do like those. These full art cards here are kind of cool. This one's kind of neat, and I think it was actually done by an artist, but it is still like a CGI style art. But in my mind, when I compare these and I look at Obisidan Flames, I feel like Obisidan Flames has a lot better cards in it. I feel like it's a stronger Charizard set. In fact, I would venture to say it's the best Charizard set, Charizard themed set that we've ever had. And yet it's kind of being overlooked a little bit right now, I think, by a lot of people. All right, so if we look at the top Charizard cards of the set, which are each the chase cards of the set, the Obisidan Flames Charizard EX SIR, or Special Illustration Rare, the current price on the market is about $50.37 according to TCG Player. Not a super strong price, but it is doing better than the Darkness Ablaze Charizard VMAX, which is going for about $24.46. So pretty cheap card. Darkness Ablaze does not have a great chase card. If you go back to Burning Shadows and you look at the Charizard GX Rainbow from that era, this card holds a lot greater value with $430.25. And then of course the XY Flash Fire Charizard, Mega Charizard EX, has about a $360-ish price on the market, but there's not a lot of these that sell, so you might be better off looking at like eBay for the price on these. So obviously as you go back to these older sets, they do have bigger chase cards, but I think some of that might be due to just being less of them out there in the market compared to the size of the market that we have today. But it is possible that this Charizard EX from Obisidan Flames, given some time, could maybe go up over time, maybe be considered more valuable looking back. It's amazing what nostalgia will do to people's idea of value and what they want to get later on. I personally think the Obisidan Flames Charizard is a better chop chase than all these other sets. If you look at Charizard from Obisidan Flames, even though he's terrestrialized, people have controversial opinions on whether or not they like the terrestrial cards. I normally haven't been the biggest fan of them. They do have the crown kind of hid behind this description up here, so it's not right in your face. You're mostly just seeing a little bit of the crown right here. It is a pretty cool stylized card with all the glass and everything. I think it's a pretty neat card. I think compared to like this CGI Charizard, compared to this kind of boring CGI 5-band graphics Rainbow, and then also this CGI Mega Charizard, personally, I think this is a stronger card. I think it's a better piece of art. Akira Agawa did a great job on this piece of art. I think it's a beautiful card, and I think it kind of blows these other 3 chase cards out of the water, personally. If we look at, frankly, another card that I think is really underrated, this card, sadly, I think is only about $10 or something like that right now. It's the Pidgeot EX. I absolutely love this card. It's a special illustration rare in Obisidan Flames. It's got that old school kind of Game Boy game type style, that old cartoon art, you know, where you've got like the routes in the game that you're going between to the different cities. And I love that it just takes me back to those nostalgic days as a kid where I'm playing the Game Boy games. I think it's a beautiful card, and I love that it goes with the illustration rares, which we'll show in a second. On the other hand, if you look at the other 3 sets, we already kind of went through them. If we compare it to the XY set, which I think is the next strongest set, really, compared to Obisidan Flames, these are the other top cards in the set. You can see there's a lot of Charizards, but there's a lot of similarity with these Charizards. Like these 2 are very similar. These 2 are very similar. The Charizard EX is okay, but again, these are all CGI graphics cards. I really love the Pokemon Center Lady card. I think it's very nostalgic. It's a beautiful card. The Pokemon Fan Club, I think, is an adorable card. I wasn't really in Pokemon that much during the XY era. I kind of was a little bit, but I wasn't really collecting the XY cards. I was mostly collecting vintage cards at that time. So I wasn't really collecting these. I did have this Pokemon Center Lady in Japanese, and I still have that in my collection. But yeah, I think, you know, when you look at the sets like we just did, I think Obisidan Flames has a stronger lineup. I think a really big part of why Obisidan Flames is actually, I think, a good set, and this is my big part of my argument that I want to make, is the illustration rares. Illustration rares are real art. They're not this computer-generated art. They're real, and they have the character of the artist embedded into that art. When I look at this Pidgeotto, which of course goes with that Pidgeot, and see that they just really go together well. Their art, you know, style was meant to go together well, and I just have that, you know, Game Boy game feeling from these, right? Where you're catching the Pidgey in the grass, you're walking your character through the grass sections, and oh, a wild Pidgey appeared, and you catch the Pidgey, and then you've got the Pidgeotto here, and he's signaling, you know, he's standing on the sign of one of the routes for where you're going, and then of course the Pidgeot EX. I think these are beautiful cards. I love how they all go together, the illustration rares and the special illustration rares. I think that's been something really special too that Scarlet and Violet has done, is connecting kind of the lower rarity cards with the higher rarity cards art-wise. This Caesar card is easily my favorite Caesar card ever made. It's such a badass card. I always loved Caesar as a kid. You know, that was part of one of the big chases in the Game Boy game, you know, in Pokemon Silver. I wanted to get a Caesar. Where this Ninetales, this gorgeous Ninetales with the light coming down and the dust kind of fading in the trees and everything. These are gorgeous cards, and the artists have done a phenomenal job making these. And then the Charmander ETB promo. I sadly don't have the Pokemon Center stamped one. That one's gotten very expensive. But this is a beautiful card, and it goes with the Bulbasaur and the Squirtle from Stellar Crown. So kind of it would be fun to have those all 3 in 10s. I'm working on that right now. Compared to the CGI art that you get in these other sets, right? This Houndoom in Darkness Ablaze, the Machamp GX from Burning Shadows, or this Mega Charizard EX from Flashfire, they just are kind of boring cards, honestly. Like when you compare them to what we're getting with Scarlet and Violet illustration rares, they don't feel as connected to humanity. And I think seeing the humanity of the artist in the card makes the card more special, and it really speaks to more people. And I think that's why the illustration rares have been really popular in Scarlet and Violet. I love too, the illustration rares have been kind of a chance for Pokemon to really show off a lot of the lower evolutions or the middle tier evolutions of cards. This Gloom card right here is one of my favorite cards of 2023, if not my absolute favorite card. I absolutely love it. It gives me Avatar vibes with the really cool, coloring and everything. But again, Gloom is a middle evolution, doesn't normally get a ton of fanfare. Cleffa, it's been a little while, but Cleffa gets a little bit more fanfare. We've had some in like Sun and Moon. Cleffa is gorgeous. It gives me, Northern Lights type vibes. Larvitar, you got Houndour. That's a Pokemon that doesn't get a lot of cards. The Houndour is an incredibly cute card, and it's awesome that they just released the Houndoom in Shrouded Fable. So I am working on getting that one in a 10 to go with this card. So I'll have the evolution line there. Scarlet and Violet in general, if you look at all the illustration rares over all the sets, they are featuring a lot of these lower and middle evolution Pokemon. I think that's really, really great. Let's talk about pull rates. If you look at Obisidan Flames pull rates, you're going to pull a card about one every 5 packs. You're going to pull something. Pulling a special illustrationer, 1 in 32 packs. That means that you're going to get one basically every booster box, which is really cool. Pulling that Charizard, the top chase, is only 1 in 216 packs. And then any illustration rare is 1 in 13 packs. You'll have about 3 illustration rares per booster box, sometimes less. But in general, you feel like you're pulling a lot of cards, which I do think it makes it more fun to rip this set than the older sets. However, the question a lot of people want to say, well, if it's easy to rip, then there's no chase. So let me make my case for why Obisidan Flames still has a chase. If you grade your cards, or you like graded cards, this set has some incredible chases. And if you look at these cards in graded condition, in graded PSA 10 condition versus raw, they have huge multiples and they're a lot more expensive in PSA 10. And that's because the gem rate of this set is really low. The print quality of this set was pretty bad. And so if you do get a card worth grading in a 10, you kind of have hit the gold mine, right? So take this Charizard EX, right? Special illustration rare. This is a 28.61% gem rate. There's about 5,000 of these in PSA 10 out of over 17,000 submitted. If you look at the Ninetales, you have a 30.53% gem rate. Only, about 1,000 out of the 3,500 that have been submitted. If you look at this Caesar, it has a less than 20% gem rate. There's only 307 of these in existence in PSA 10. The Gloom, which is again like my favorite card from the set, only 373 of these in PSA 10. These are incredibly low numbers for modern cards and incredibly low gem rates. 25% gem rate for Gloom. The Pidgeot EX, about 30% gem rate. And then if you look at the Charmander promo, which that Charmander promo from the ETB is a phenomenal promo, it's a less than 30% gem rate. So even though 7,000 of those have been submitted and that these promos are like heavily printed because ETBs are heavily printed, there's less than 30% of them that got a 10. So there's only 2,000 10s. And so even that card is actually pretty expensive and it become a chase card. And so I think in a lot of ways, there's actually a pretty cool chase tied to this set if you like graded cards. And if you just like ripping packs, at least you're going to get something and you're going to feel like you didn't walk away opening packs and get nothing. The last thing I want to talk about is the booster boxes. So if we look back, Flash Fire booster boxes are crazy. I don't know. There's only like 3 of these listed on TCG Players. Are all like $3,600 and up. I don't know what, actual prices of these are, but it's crazy high. If you look at Burning Shadows, this booster box is $427 is like the market price basically on the market, and most of them are actually listed higher than that. And if you look at Darkness Ablaze, this is like one of the weakest Sword and Shield sets. It's about $140. So Obisidan Flames, though, you've got a market price of about $126. If if you really search around, you might be able to get it around 115 somewhere. I think they just recently did a restock, so you could probably search and try to get your hands on it. But I think this set is probably going to continue to go up, and it's probably going to do well. I think it's going to do much better than Darkness Ablaze. Yes, more of this was printed than Burning Shadows and XY Flash Fire, so you can't really compare the sets to those. But if those sets, which I think are relatively weak, can increase over time, why can't this one? So honestly, I think Obsidian Flames is actually a pretty good investment. It may not be the strongest set in the era, but I do think it will go up. And I think especially as the other sets from the era go up, this one will get kind of raised with it for people that want to have like a sealed booster box of every set of the era. But yeah, I think this is a great set. If you maybe have been sleeping on it, maybe take a good look at it again. There is stuff to chase in this set, and while everybody else is going after Surging Sparks and getting hyped up about Prismatic Evolutions, this is a great time to go back and pick up some of these other sets that have been overlooked, that are just like not in the limelight. It's an awesome time to do that. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think of Obsidian Flames. What's your opinion of it? If you love it or you hate it. And yeah, leave me a comment. I'd love for you to like the video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one.